When I got to New York in 1961, I got to Gertie's Folk City, and everybody was there. And I was a headliner, which I couldn't get. I couldn't understand why I was a headliner, because I'd only been doing this for a couple of years. But then, and everybody seemed to be there. All the people I'd heard on Folkways Records and Elektra Records and Vanguard, and they were all there. And then I realized that when I found out, I knew why, because my opener was a 13-year-old named Arlo. But I of course got to know Pete Seeger because my manager was Harold Levinsohn, who managed everybody he managed the Weavers and Pete Seeger and Arlo and Woody and Theo Bickel. And so I got to know and adore Pete, and of course, one of my first recordings was after I got over only being able to sing traditional songs was, of course, to everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven. And I slowly but surely began to record the songs of the city singers. I recorded Dylan very early. You know, he was at Gertie's. He'd been in Colorado with a different name, and couldn't get a job, and he was there at Gertie's Folk City, and I thought, God, he's just pathetic, really. Pathetic. He was singing old Woody Guthrie songs, you know, and badly. I thought, badly chosen and not well sung. I mean, and then of course the phenomenon hit us, and I was there at Newport with Pete when Pete was said to have tried to have cut the cord on the guitar. He didn't, and he denies it. But I don't think he was thrilled. But, you know, he got over it. That's the thing about Pete. He got over a lot of things, including history that you know very well about his being blacklisted. But he gave us so much. He was so amazing. Where have all the flowers gone? Sorry, I really have a terrible cold and I should be in bed. Long time passing, but we're all here together, so that's okay. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Young girls have picked them, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Pete was an inspiration, and in those days, of course, as soon as I started to sing and record everybody's songs, which I did, I began to get invitations to listen to songs and singers, and I didn't write any songs myself. So I was unusual in that respect. I heard 2 songs when I was about 15. The gypsy rover came over the hill, down through the valley so shady. He whistled and he sang till the greenwood rang, and he won the heart of a lady. Would you like to sing this chorus? Ah-dee-doo, da-day. Ah-dee-doo, la-dee-day. He whistled and he sang till the greenwood rang, and he won the heart of a lady. It's an old song, ancient song, you know, girl turns 16, runs off with a hippie. Her father gets on horseback, races into the woods, and finds out that he's run off with Bill Gates. So everybody is happy. My life that day was completely altered. And aside from singing, of course, I'll Be Home for Christmas in Butte, Montana, this is the day that changed my life. I went down to Wells Music, I bought the record, I brought it home. I thought my friends were dancers, and we'd been doing the story of Little Red Riding Hood for years. We were going to take it to Las Vegas, but we really needed new material, and I thought the Gypsy Rover would be perfect. And it was. And I did that on the stage. I got a pianist and a guitar player, and then I convinced my father. This was it. The next song I found was Barbara Allen, you know. 'Twas in the merry month of May, when the green boughs were I just paled in comparison. So it was that day and those songs that changed my life. I was so fortunate. First of all, I started singing around Denver. I joined the Denver Folklore Society, went up to Lookout Mountain, was Lingo the Drifter. Lingo the Drifter was a man who came to Denver with only that name and educated everybody about Pete Seeger and Woody Guthrie and had a radio show like my father. And he would come over to the house and he would sing, "This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island." And my father would sing, "Some enchanted evening." They got along very well. They were on the same side politically, but they argued about it at very loud voices after and during drinking my father's whiskey. So pretty soon I had jobs in Denver and jobs in Boulder and up in the mountains. I was in an encounter group in 1970. The encounter group included most of the people in my life, my manager, my producer, some of my best friends, and we were tearing each other apart, of course, and my producer said, "I think you should sing something and calm everybody down." And I sang the only song that I could remember that my grandmother taught me that I thought some people at least would know the words to. And I sang it, and he called me the next day. He said, "You have to record that song." As I said, the transom. So now I think it's always a good idea to close an evening of an afternoon of talking about and thinking about music with Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Through many dangers. Oh, before we sing this next verse, I would like you to join me and sing the harmony or the melody or another song entirely. If you like, only because it's the spirit that counts. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Of course, it's a perfect song because it's written by a man who experienced a total transformation in his life and dedicated the rest of his life, after being a slave trader, as you know, and having a shipwreck that he survived, devoted the rest of his life to writing hymns and fighting against racism. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, we have already come. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, we had already come. 'Twas grace that brought us safe thus far. 'Twas grace